Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of B2B Rebellion. Really happy to have Dan on today. So Daniel Disney, many people will probably know. I mean, it's a pretty famous second name as well, Dan. Actually, we've never really got into that. But in any case, Dan is very, very well known in the world of LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn and you're in sales and you've been watching influencers within LinkedIn and sales, you'll definitely have come across Dan and the stuff that he's been doing. He's a famous author as well, the £1 Million LinkedIn message, which you'll see behind his shoulder there. So Dan set up a group as well, or a company on LinkedIn called the Daily Sales. It's got 600,000 plus members right now, Dan, right?
That's correct.
So I'm growing. So I really like the stuff that Dan pushes out from a content perspective. It's very fresh. It's very it means something to everybody. I think he uses a lot of memes and things like that as well. You can see above his right shoulder there, things that resonate with people. It's taken away the sort of stuffiness of old school sales training and different things, and really put a new twist to it and made it a lot fresher, in my opinion. And I think as well, the good thing about Dan is he's been in the position as well himself. So you come across a lot of sales coaches and people that want to coach you how to do sales and have never really been at the front line themselves, never really been at the cold face. This is the best way to do it based out of something that they read in the book. I've come across a lot of coaches like that. But the difference between Dan and these guys is that he's actually done it himself. So, Dan, I think I've done you a fair bit of justice there in the intro, but if there's anything more you want to add, I'll let you take it away, mate.
Andy, I think that was a spot-on intro. You've covered the key bits. I'm passionate about sales and social selling. I cut my teeth knocking doors and making cold calls, and over the last years have invested a lot in mastering LinkedIn and social selling. So yeah, my passion is helping salespeople learn how to use LinkedIn to its full potential. And then you're right, the other half of me runs the Daily Sales, which just shares entertaining, motivational, educational content for salespeople on a daily basis, because it is tough working in sales. Anyone who's out there actually selling, it's tough. It's a roller coaster, and sometimes you need a meme to make you laugh, to help you get onto that next cold call. Sometimes you need a quote to motivate you to push through some of the objections. Sometimes you want tips and advice to help you get through some of the challenges and get those deals closed. So yeah, that was me, but great intro, Andy. Thank you.
Thanks. I think actually you did hit the nail on the head there. Sales is a tough job. It's a really tough job. I've been speaking with, I've been looking at it from many different angles at the moment as well. Also, I've been speaking with people around mental health and sales at the moment. Generally that's a problem. Salespeople would say, I'm fine, everything's great. We're going to reach quota. Now people probably will struggle to reach quota and things like that. It's been interesting to look at it a number of different angles over the past couple of weeks since we started doing this series, plus the webinars and whatnot. It's interesting to speak with different mindsets and different people on it. From your perspective now, Dan, what are you telling people? What are the tips that you're giving your customers for LinkedIn, for example? What are you telling people? What should they be doing?
Yeah, I think the biggest tip, and kind of aligning to what you were just talking about, is authenticity. Just be genuine, be real, be truthful. There's a big thing in social media where people will post how everything's perfect. They'll take perfect photos. They'll write these perfect stories about how great they're doing. And very few people actually get real and share real insights about their struggles, their challenges. Now, there's a fine balance between complaining and saying how negative things are and always being positive, but it's finding that sweet spot in the middle where you can sort of talk about your challenges, but talk about how you're overcoming them or how you're trying to overcome them, but just be real. It was the advice I gave when COVID really started to come out. A lot of people were just pumping out the same generic, bland content, and it was falling on deaf ears, essentially. And actually, the people that were getting engagement were the ones that were talking about what was happening right now and what they were doing, what their customers were doing, their colleagues, peers, etc. So yeah, I think the biggest advice I'm giving to people, and it's going to be relevant for at least the rest of this year, is just be real. Use this as a chance to show people you, let people into your world, show them your journey. That's what people are buying into right now, and people buy from people, so it's going to help lead into relationships that you can then grow into opportunities and customers. But the key bit is just be a human being. Don't be a sales robot. Don't be a sales machine. Just be a human individual. It will do you a lot more good than what a lot of people do is they put their salesperson's hat on, and it's just, regurgitating sales content, and yeah, it's just not the time for that.
Is it a bit of a faux pas nowadays? I don't know if it's such an obvious one, but like sharing your company's content on LinkedIn, just pressing the share button, like for me personally, I see that on LinkedIn. I'm like, what are people doing? Why are they? Did I not know that that's not a good thing to do? But it's obviously like people don't get it. Like a lot of salespeople see, oh, okay, LinkedIn, like the company shared something. Okay, better press share, and it's like, is it like, my question is that doing anything? Is it doing anything for the brand? In my opinion, it's actually probably doing something worse for the brand.
Oh, massively. And it's interesting hearing you say that, Andy. Obviously, your role as CMO, unfortunately, some of the companies out there, that is instructed by the marketing department. That is a marketing strategy, which is, again, as you know, and I'm glad you know, it doesn't achieve anything, and it probably does more harm than good. And I see it probably at least 80% of the companies that I get hired to go and train on LinkedIn and social selling, that's their strategy. Most of their sales teams, that's all they're doing. And I will look through most of them. All they're doing is resharing the company blogs, the company updates, which are generally pretty bland and very much self-focused. They're not valuable to their prospects, their customers, their audience. And the moment you flip that round, you just open up so many opportunities. Like, you're leading this by example, Andy. You're creating tons of content that's valuable to your audience, to your customers, to your prospects, that's valuable to them. It's not just promoting your product and talking about how great it is and sharing your latest testimonials. It's value, and value attracts.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the old adage that the best pitch is no pitch at all. I think if people really find like you as a salesperson, like let's say somebody's in sales, if you as a salesperson are offering some value, right, and offering some value to a prospect, regardless if it's a problem that can be solved by your tech or if it's something that you can personally solve, like you're adding value to that person's day, right, and that won't be forgotten.
No.
So they may not be in a buying cycle right now, but they might be in a buying cycle in 3 months from now. Like it really bothers me when I see companies going in very product heavy into their marketing messaging and different things, and also on social. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's lazy.
It's the whole give to get mentality. I mean, I know you were saying you were just speaking to Alex Ollie from ReachDesk, and obviously their thing is sending physical gifts, which is an amazing opportunity. I use ReachDesk and it's fantastic. But it doesn't have to be a physical gift. It could be content, it could be a blog, it could be a meme that makes them laugh, that entertains them, but they'll remember the meme. They may share the meme. Remember who shared that meme. They'll remember your name. And as you say, if they're in a buying cycle right now, it may drive them to look at your profile, see what it is you do, pop you a message saying, oh, Dad, loved that meme you shared. Actually, you had a quick look at your profile and I can see that you do LinkedIn training. Would love to learn more. Maybe it's not the right time, in which case they're going to appreciate that. They're going to look for your content more now because they've taken value from that. They'll probably consume more of your content, engage in more of it. And when they are ready, you're going to be there in the back of their mind as one of the first people, if not the only person that they come to. So give to get is a far better strategy than just asking all the time, just trying to take, can I have a meeting? Can I have a demo? Can I have your number? Can I call you? Can I email you? It's always self-focused, and give to get is a far better strategy in my experience.
I agree. I mean, the thing is, like with this new wave of social media, I'm seeing a lot of people building their own personal brand on LinkedIn. And I'd be one of those people as well. I think it's important to build your own personal brand. And a lot of people, though, in more traditional spaces, like more traditional businesses, would maybe see that and see their salespeople doing that and be like, hey, look at him or her building their personal brand. What's that doing for our organization? That's the type of thing. Like, how often do you come across that when you're going in and helping people with their social selling strategies?
A lot, and it's what I experienced when I started doing it. So when I first started doing it, 7-8 years ago, I was laughed at, I was made fun of from everyone all the way up to the top of the company. It was just no one else was doing it in the business, in any department, let alone in sales. And so I fully sympathize with it because I had to push against that challenge. And it's not nice, but I think when you see results, when you see potential, when you see opportunity, you kind of need that to push through those challenges. But there is so much resistance from variety, from colleagues, other salespeople, to sales managers, sales leaders, directors, all the way to the top. The key is to either prove it yourself or find others that have proven it to help push away some of that negativity or that concern. That's a lot of it. We don't know what we don't know, and new things often scare people, so it's like some of the older people, when you talk about the internet or social media, or remember the first time I gave my nan an iPad and teaching her how to use it. It was a really strange thing, and for a long time it was, no, I'm not interested, I don't need it, I don't need to change. What would I need that for? And once you get them past and start to open their eyes to it, and you show them all the great things they can do with it and how much it can help them in their lives, then they embrace it, accept it, and before you know it, they're then starting to have an appetite to learn more and get involved in it. And it's exactly the same for a lot of businesses, for salespeople, for sales leaders. They see the challenge, they see the fear. No, why do I need a personal brand? We're doing fine as it is. We don't need it. Once you open their eyes to it, before you know it, you've got the leaders starting to post actively. You've got the leaders encouraging their teams to do it. So yeah, it's just a opening the eyes type piece. Once they see the bigger picture, then they buy into it.
Is there enough space on LinkedIn for so many personal brands? This is a very rhetorical question, I know, but
yeah, no, it's a good question, because everyone's kind of concerned, maybe it's too late for LinkedIn. I've missed the boat. I did this 7-8 years ago. But there are people coming onto LinkedIn now building huge personal brands. If anything, it's easier and quicker to build a personal brand now than it was. Certainly when I started, it was a much more uphill push. Now I see people doing it. And part of that is because obviously, there's a lot of people like me out there trying to help show them the way to do it, which again, didn't exist before. But it's obviously noisier, but whilst there are more people talking, there are more people listening. So it kind of counterbalances that. And I think I reckon we've got at least 2 to 3 years of riding the LinkedIn wave. Like Facebook at the moment, that wave is long past. Unless you've got tons of money to chuck at it, you're never going to be able to become an influencer on Facebook. TikTok's now added ads, and they're going to quickly go down that route. I think LinkedIn's got a few more years where now is a great time, best time of ever, to start using it and build their personal brand before they start to really crank down on the paid stuff and the sponsors, etc.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense. I fully agree with you on the speed at which you can build your own personal brand. So I just spoke with Alex there a couple of minutes ago, and Alex Ollie from Reach Desk, as we were saying, and he'd said to me, Andy, you've managed to build your own personal brand very quickly, So I actually consciously said around Christmas time, said I'm going to start trying to build something here and see, just to see. I hadn't been that active on LinkedIn in the past. I posted stuff every now and again. The reason was because I was working in a space where I was a VP of marketing, but for B2B2C. So I was marketing to B2C marketers. So my customer was a B2C marketer, but I'm a B2B marketer. So I've learned my trade solely in B2B, and then I'm supposed to be preaching a message to B2C, or in B2B. Sorry, I've solely learned in B2B, and then I'm supposed to be preaching a message to B2C marketers, and that's very I can't resonate. It's who am I to be able to do that? And then when I started in the B2B space with the Leadfeeder, I said, okay, you know what? I know this space really well. I've built myself. I know what needs to be done. I think I can add value. And this was the add value part. So I just started slowly but surely, started. And it's gone really quick. Alex said to me, Jesus, it's been really quick, Andy. I was like, yeah, actually surprised. I was actually quite surprised at how quick it went. But actually, when you just said that there, I was like, that makes 100% sense, because yeah, I resonate with that.
You make a good point though, and this is something I get as a challenge a lot of the times. You mentioned coming in, realizing you had tons of experience and knowledge about B2B, so that kind of gave you the confidence to build a personal brand. I get a lot of SDRs and new to sales people come to me and say, we haven't worked in sales at all. We haven't worked in this industry. We're not experts. So how can we build personal brands? And this is what, again, is exciting me a lot at the moment, is the rise of the SDR influencer. And I'm seeing it in so many companies. It's amazing. These are people that are new to roles, new to companies, new to industries, and they're building these great personal brands by sharing their journey. They're not going out there proclaiming to be experts. They're not going out there telling people what to do. They're just sharing what they are doing, what's working for them, what's not working for them. And people buy from people. They buy into that journey. They buy into that sharing because it is valuable. They either people want to help them or people want to follow for their own benefits because they're not the only SDRs out there. SDRs are everywhere and they're helping them, and it's helping them then infiltrate into the companies and gain huge influence. I mean, some of these SDRs are getting way more content engagement than the company's getting, than the marketing department's getting. And it's it's one of those things that, yes, if you do have tons of experience, then of course that's the pathway you choose within your personal brand. If you don't, then there are so many other pathways that people can choose to build personal brands in that can gain equal, if not sometimes more success than other pathways. So it's personal branding is a real open book. Anyone can do it. There's nothing that limits you from it. You just need to know who you are and be you. If the SDR was suddenly pretending to be an expert, they'd struggle to build a personal brand. They were an SDR preaching and trying to tell people what to do. That is unlikely to result in a successful, engagement strategy. But by being authentic and honest, then you're starting to go down the right path.
So I just finish on one last piece because this is typical what people ask if they're new to the game. How often should people be posting on LinkedIn? I know it's a bit of a how long is a piece of string question, but what advice would you give to complete beginners?
Yeah, so I've seen a few people post a variety of responses to this. Again, I'm doing this consistently for 6-7 years now. My honest advice is Monday to Friday, once per day is your ultimate sort of goal in terms of posting consistently. Monday to Friday, once a day is a very good amount. If you're just starting, try 2 or 3 posts a week just to get you started, because I know it's not easy to think of ideas and get used to writing or taking photos or whatever it may be. The 2 to 3 times per week at the start is fine for the first month or two, just to get you warmed up and get you used to it, get you comfortable doing it. But the ultimate long-term goal, once per week. You can do Saturdays and Sundays, and actually I'm seeing some really good engagement on weekends as well, but that's a personal choice. Obviously company can't make you work 7 days a week, so can't be an expectation, but for those that want to do it, there is very good engagement available at the weekends as well. I would never advise posting more than once a day. That's where the algorithm in LinkedIn will start to work against you. Can have some really negative effects. The only time I would ever post twice a day is if there is a really good reason to do so, of which case, okay, maybe it's justifiable. I think I did one recently. It was actually the other day. I did my usual post in the sort of morning/daytime, but then in the evening, the daily sales hit 600,000 followers, which was quite a momentous kind of occasion. So I posted that as well. Again, because it was such a big thing, the engagement was just as strong. But if I were just posting anything out blandly, it would really struggle. So once a day is your kind of optimum amount. 2 to 3 times a week to start. Do that consistently. You'd be surprised at the results you generate just from that.
It's funny, you start to get a feeling for it almost. It's a bit like cooking, because it's for me, I only sort of started it 6 months ago in terms of creating my own brand a little bit. But the things you just mentioned are I had a feeling that that's the case just by, testing and trying different things. But you just confirmed a lot of points around the algorithm, for example. I wouldn't be constantly checking what's happening from the sale or the LinkedIn algorithm. But you get a feeling for it, okay, this time during the day works well because I've gotten that amount of responses, and I shouldn't do it twice a day because I tried that before, it didn't work. You start to get this little bit of, you add a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and that's going to taste good, It's interesting. It's really interesting. Dan, I won't keep you too much longer, but where can people find you, and how can they avail of your services?
Well, I'm probably most easy to access on LinkedIn, obviously. Please, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. I have a website, danieldisney.online, and feel free to check out the daily sales. I'm posting, obviously, every single day. If anyone has any questions, my genuine passion is to help salespeople. So if you have questions, pop me a message, pop me an email through the website, and I tend to get back to everyone within a couple of days. So keen to help, especially in social selling. Anyone has any concerns or questions, just let me know. It's not easy, but once you get it, it is easy. It doesn't take tons of time. It doesn't take tons of complicated, procedures and strategies. It's just Like sales, it's doing the basics right consistently. Do that in sales, you'll be successful. Do that in social selling, you'll be successful. So yeah, I'm there to help for anyone that needs it. But I hope there's some good advice and tips that came from this recording. And make sure you keep following Leadfeeder. Andy, what you're doing with webinars is inspirational. You are bringing, that webinar that you and I did with Kevin last week was insane. It was probably the best webinar I think I've ever been a part of. And that's me saying it, but everyone in the audience was saying it as well. So yeah, I'd recommend following Leadfeeder's content, but especially the webinars, because you are really stepping it up with the quality.
I appreciate that, Dan. Yeah, that was a crazy one. The comments afterwards, during, like, people were sharing it on LinkedIn, like, it blew up. That thing grew wings.
I'm still getting messages from people saying, love that webinar, just catching up on the recording, watching it for the second time. And I've tried to put out really good webinars, tend to get really good responses, but that really blew it out the water. So you've stepped up the webinar game, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on your future webinars. I know you've got some good guests lined up already. So
I was, to be honest with you, it was you and KD that did all the hard work. I just take all the credit for it, mate. No, I'm joking, but like, it was seriously, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your time today, mate. And look, all the best. Thanks a million.
Chat soon.